Medina, Firestone, East Legon Hills, and Mampong Equiapim. Dr. Safo.
Lexus Bill, favorite voice on
You're
radio.
the man. How you doing, bro?
I'm good.
My favorite doctor. You know, sometimes I am person me can be who keke.
Hey,
now for me funny.
Calm down.
Calm down. All right. Well, last week we did have a good conversation. But hey, how are you doing though? I need to ask first. Yeah. Your
good.
eyes look like you've not slept much.
Kwame, when you say adult education can crave you over Bravo Wuti, you know.
Adult education in Nzuma.
Kwame, Charlie, things have changed you.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday theater or something.
Theater.
The adult education for Monday, Akan, Dagbani, Wednesday, Ga. Then Charlie, Sunday, watch on Captain Planet.
Yes.
You know.
Sunday morning, journey to the east.
Hey.
I don't know east and I west.
Journey to the west.
West
one. East, hey, that's the only thing you can watch.
Charlie.
Today there are sports for choice.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Gen Z forum.
They can't relate.
They can't relate.
Anyway.
Right. So Bakami, I'm fine. It was good. Last week we had a good open clinic, and we got a lot of men calling in.
Absolutely. Last week we did have a very interesting conversation when people were asking questions, and I think one of the things that was quite prevalent on the show was the fact that a lot of men had queries. One of the things that came up was premature ejaculation, and so we
PME.
thought that today we'd have a conversation about men's health.
Right.
We needed you to speak to the brothers because
Good.
Asemoho.
Bibre. Right. So good afternoon to all our listeners, and Kwame, it's a broad area, as you rightly pointed out. We had a lot of questions by men. Their concerns usually was in the areas of men's reproductive health issues. So instead of bundling all of it together, following the show last week, still got a lot of calls coming in. Okay. I just felt that the explanations, we needed time to go into the issues proper. So time permitting, we'll be able to look at all aspects of the men reproductive health issues or that affects men. So today our focus is going to be on something we call PME, the 1 minute problem. 1 minute? Yes.
It's come down to 1 minute. I thought it was 2 minutes.
It's a 1 minute problem. You know, people say, "Oh, just give me a minute, I'll be back." Just give me a minute. So,
but who's the problem for? Is it a problem for the men or for the?
So as we get into it, we'll see that sometimes you see when who are saying we can now they are smoothie.
Okay.
So although we got a lot of calls last week, I think a lot of the issues affect both parties.
Okay.
But the Ochami is one. So. What is PME? When we talk about ejaculation, it's one of the physiological processes that happens in a male human being at a certain age. All right. So it is the release of semen, which is the fluid that comes out during sexual activity. So when we talk about the release and the outward expression, so you see it. It's not something that you need a test for or anything of the sort. It's something that can visually be appreciated. So that is what ejaculation is. It's physiological. It's a normal process, activity. Now, when we put the word premature in front of it, then it becomes a problem. Because then we are describing a phenomenon that occurs when the release happens persistently sooner than the man or his partner would like. So Kwame, it's a very, very subjective definition.
This is very subjective.
Exactly. So it's a wide berth. Either the thing is coming sooner than the man or his partner would like. So that is what makes it premature. But as for the ejaculation itself, it's as physiological as sweating. It's a normal process, and it will happen during sexual activity. Kwame, let me share with you some key facts about this problem. And the reason why it was unsurprising for us to hear so much about it last week. 30%, 30% of men are affected with this problem or have this particular challenge that I have titled 1 minute, which we will come to in a bit. But this same study that put out this figure of about 30% says that because of the stigmatization and the shame that is associated with it, because this problem hits a man's ego so much, they think that possibly this figure climbs up to 75% of all men. When you take men between the ages of 18 and 59, then they found out that 30% of men in this age bracket have that problem. So you may think, oh, you're a young man, young adults, 18, 21, 22, shouldn't have this problem. I'm sure people are thinking, oh, this one is elderly people, 60 people, their problem. No, they looked at the 18 to 59 age bracket, and as many as 30% of men had this particular problem. It is the commonest male sexual disorder. I mean, there are other things. We've got erectile dysfunction, which probably, if there's time next week, we'll talk about that. We've got other things. But when it comes to the male sexual disorders, this 1 minute wahala is the most common that doctors are faced with in hospitals and have to deal with. So, these are the key facts. So, I'm not surprised. 30%, we are talking about what? Almost 1 in 3.
Yeah.
If we climb it up to the 75%, then right. But I want you to take note of a certain word, persistently, in the definition I gave earlier about the premature one. Persistently.
Okay.
Why this thing to happen to everybody or every man who engages in sexual activity at one point in their lives? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this happening persistently.
Okay.
Persistently. Right. But I think last week I mentioned that there's no standard definition, for the how long a man should last. But I am telling you that there is a standard definition for the problem. We will not say how long it lasts. The action should last, but then if it happens, that one we have a definition for it. So there are 3 very important bodies that have put out a definition of the problem. So let's share. These days everything you can go to WHO. It's not only mpox or COVID-19. When it comes to PME too, the WHO has a case definition.
What is this saying?
Quote, the inability to delay the release sufficient to enjoy lovemaking, which is manifested by either the occurrence of the release before or very soon after beginning the action. So your inability to delay sufficiently enough to enjoy. So Kwame, again, there's a lot of subjectivity. It's talking about
the one who did define is there man or woman?
Usually they have a technical working group made up of experts. So it's a technical working group. I'm sure these days they say gender balance. So they'll make sure that it's a gender balanced panel. So if you are not able to delay it long enough for you to both parties to enjoy, then we'll say there is premature.
Okay.
But there's another body. They have a very interesting name. Maybe I should let you do your postgraduate training with them. International Society for Sexual Medicine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, there's a society like that.
Oh, associations plenty. Right. So International Society for Sexual Medicine, they define PME as one of the following. Kwame, a release that always occurs before or within about 1 minute. So Kwame, you see the 1 minute where it pops up.
So they brought that 1 minute.
They brought the 1 minute. Okay. International Society for Sexual Medicine. So a release that always or nearly always occurs before 1 minute or within about 1 minute. And this thing is persistent. All right. So that's one definition. Another definition this same body came up with was that the inability to delay it on all or every occasion.
Okay.
All right. And then thirdly, they were like, if this thing leads to negative personal consequences, frustration, and even avoidance, then we would say that you have PME.
Okay.
All right. So this is how they've also crafted it. So, Kwame, these are we are left in no doubt that this is what it is. So our listeners, and I know both the men and women are listening because the women are also interested parties in all of this, because we couched the definition earlier on and we said if you don't delay it long enough for you to enjoy or the man's satisfaction, the woman, then there is a problem. All right. So, Kwame, why is this condition a problem? Because people will think that, but this one want to hear diabetes or depression, but this one too, is it a problem? Kwame, it is a huge problem. Occasional PME doesn't give us any cause for concern because I constantly use the word persistent. But the condition can cause significant anxiety. Kwame, in the consulting room, I've said many examples. A man comes in with a man, takes a seat looking out of the window, and then they are talking to you, the doctor, with their backs at you, and they are pointing to their man and say, Pedro Bimanu, doctor, with the Pedro Bimanu. They are not happy at all, hoping that you get a solution to the problem. So it creates anxiety issues for men. And if you know about anxiety disorders, it really destabilizes your whole life. Psychological pain, depression, and marital discord are the things that come out of this particular problem. And usually when we define the state of health, we're not just talking about the absence of infirmity, but then a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. So this thing can actually impact your mental well-being. It can impact your social health as well. So what brings it about? What are the causes? Well, overall, PME is primarily psychological in nature. Primarily, it is psychological in nature. But there are, however, a lot of contributing risk factors. What are the things that increases the likelihood of this happening? And Kwame, I've categorized these things into two. We've got what we call the biological factors, risk factors, and then we've got the psychological risk factors. So let me talk about a few of the biological risk factors or the social risk factors as well. Kwame, the first I want to talk about is alcoholism. The alcohol brigade. You see, Kwame, there's this fallacy amongst men that if they drink, they can perform. It's not true. And you know, so alcohol can get you inebriated, and then you engage in disinhibited behavior. So maybe approaching the girl is hard. So you think if you drink, then you can approach and then say what you want to say. Now you say what you want to say. Now for the alpha. That
the performer now to
then the performance. No, so alcoholism. So what do we see on radio or here on radio? What do we see on TV? The billboards. We're always advertising these drinks with some sexual undertones that it will make you perform better. Medically, no. It is actually one of the things that have been fingered for premature release. Number 2, the use of these days, they say we should call it recreational drugs. I don't see the recreational activity in using cocaine and heroin and all of those things. So, drugs of abuse. All right. Marijuana, spat. There's this thing called ecstasy. When they are going to do substance abuse on the show. Cocaine. So those who do cocaine, those who do weed, high risk. It increases your risk. Poor sleep deprivation. So I won't mention his name, but I know somebody, and I know he's listening right now.
He doesn't sleep.
Well, I mean, if you sleep,
so then what are they awake doing? I thought if you are not sleeping, then you are doing it.
No, he's trying.
Okay.
Because if you are successful at it, you sleep. To put you to sleep. Kwame, sleep does something very important for us. It releases something we call serotonin into our blood. And when you have high levels of this brain chemical, this serotonin is a brain chemical, it's a neurotransmitter, then it shortens, if you have low levels of it, it shortens the time to release. So if you don't sleep, you don't have high levels of serotonin, and then this is what happens. So these are some of them. There are some medical conditions like diabetes and high thyroid levels that can also do that. Then there are the psychological reasons, all right? First one, depression. You see, this problem can, in the long term, create depression. But if an individual is also suffering depression, it may be the reason why they have this premature release. Anxiety, stress. I mean, that's one of the things I don't like about the state of the economy. You know, it's stress no dosu. Men are too much under stress in this country.
I thought the solution is to perform and happy yourself.
You need to be stress-free before the performance can come.
Because sometimes they are stressing you now.
So they will even drink before. They will drink before attempt to go and distress. No. You can't perform. I mean, there's also something that I realized. There's a personality disorder called narcissism or narcissist. So somebody's a narcissist. These people are extremely self-involved to the degree that they ignore the needs of those around them. So sexual activity is a partnership. You have to make sure that the other person is also enjoying the whole activity. So if you have this personality disorder, all you are interested is yourself. So that personality disorder is also sometimes a problem. Some people with a history of sexual repression. And when we talk about sexual repression, the way you are brought up, the cultural environment, your religious environment, means that you are not allowed to express yourself sexually. So even the whole act is seen as, oh, Charlie, let's do this thing quickly and finish and go. You know, so that whole thing is in the mind, and then it causes some problem. I'm sure you've heard about the history behind the missionary position. The church many years ago, we even prescribed ways that the thing can happen.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah. So that's all part of the called sexual repression. When culturally you are oriented that this whole thing is not a good thing. So you grow up with it, and then even when now it is okay to do it, that you are stuck in that mode, and then you want to quickly get it over and done with. So that is what we mean by individuals with a history of sexual repression.
So anything but missionary is religious rebellion.
Exactly. You know, that was what was preached, and that's what got that in. There's also something called performance anxiety. See, when this problem happens once or twice, the third time, when you are even being invited, now I'm sure. That's what we mean by performance anxiety. Again, people with relationship problems, both parties, they are just, it's a routine. They have to tick a certain checkbox. You know, they have a checklist, they have to tick that box. So it's 2 weeks. We haven't done it, let's do it. And then they tick the box. Because the two people, they're not even talking. So when the relationship between the individuals are not what it's supposed, or it's not what it's supposed to be, then you have that. Then again, people with a history of sexual abuse or prior bad experience, all right, they again want to get it over and done with. But I mean, this one will blow your mind. Do you know that some men actually have an unrealistic fear that when they enter Jerusalem, they are hurting the woman? Yes. So the whole thing is not a pleasurable thing for them, experience for them, and therefore psychologically their brain goes like a Ferrari, and then the whole thing happens.
I see.
So this is what these are some of the predisposing factors. Kwame, let me make a very important point. Although all this while we're talking about the men, the definition we talked about when there is a delay, that is satisfactory for the man or the woman. So sometimes the problem is that there are some women, females, who have a severely delayed climax.
Hey.
All right, and they are the ones with the problem. It's not the man. The man is doing all right. So whatever the time is, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, the man goes through. But there are some females with what we call a delayed female orgasm. It's one of the sexual dysfunctions when it comes to women. One day when we get the opportunity to talk about it, we'll bring that one up as well. So 20 minutes, Anka Kwame, but then she has this delayed female orgasm, so she's doing 50 minutes. So you don't actually have a problem, but because your partner has a delayed situation, then it would appear that you are short.
So these are the questions we need to be asking during dating and courtship.
I mean, I know that who could beside these questions, they are.
You see,
you go find the dating and courtship.
You don't ask. Then you enter the thing. Yeah,
that's what I say.
And then you go and you get to realize that someone's delayed one is 2 hours. Then you come and labor.
Well, see, Ghana, they say goods bought
are not returnable.
It's only in Ghana that you buy things in shop. People, we can go to Dubai or go to you buy things this year. I can send it back even next year. But in Ghana, that principle applies. So in this particular instance, if you don't, so I know this religious leader, already all called cancer, I will ask you, have you tested the engine? Because this vehicle, the moment you drive it out of the garage,
you can't bring it back.
Allah, yeah, you cry.
So you see that's what made the time very subjective. You understand?
Yes.
Because for somebody,
but Kwame, don't we preach compatibility all the time?
But is there some
compatibility?
Yeah. Is there some proposed time that is negotiable?
That's negotiable. It depends on the parties that are involved. So if you can get everything rounded up nicely before the time, then that's okay. All right, then that's okay. So it's all a matter of the time interval, the what happens, and if both parties get to the point where they want to get to during that activity, then 1 minute, 2 minutes, really not a problem.
Is there something that can be done about it?
Oh, Kwame, a whole lot. So once it's a medical condition, there are always solutions. Once it's a medical condition, there are always solutions. So this week, I just wanted us to be able to understand the case definition, what this thing is. So next week, when I'm talking about the solution, we'll start with the risk factors. The alcohol brigade, please. Yeah, so it doesn't help.
Calm down, Tobo. Don't shout.
But you see, one there, yeah.
Baby,
there.
1 minute.
Baby, there.
I don't want no 1 minute, man.
Hey.
They said it. They said it. So
the time is international.
Okay.
This problem time, 1 minute club. So please,
next
all
week,
those
we'll try and get people out of the 1 minute club.
Exactly. And Kwame, there's help. So those who want to reach out, if you know you have this challenge, I know it's greatly stigmatized. I know it's something we struggle to talk about. So the number is 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340. That's our WhatsApp number as well. And please talk to us. We can help.
Those who go more the reverse, is it true? You know, some people 1 minute, some one. Is it also a problem?
The International Society for Sexual Medicine, they haven't come out with a case definition like that.
Okay. All right. My guy, Ken, how you doing, man?
I'm good. Yourself?
I see you are very interested in this conversation.
Very much.
Yeah, I can tell.
It's an interesting one.
Please finish the news in 1 minute.